Barron Trump accidentally steps into a mystery that has existed for 20 years: a nameless scholarship fund, an old letter, and a box engraved with cryptic words. When he learns that hundreds of students might lose their chance at an education if the fund disappears, Barron decides to take action. But instead of simply donating money, he finds himself drawn into the search for the invisible friend, the one who created this fund, and left behind an unknown legacy. Who is behind this gift? Why did they want to remain anonymous? And can one good deed truly ripple across generations? As each clue is revealed, Barron realizes that kindness is not just a noble gesture, it is a never-ending circle. A story of inspiration, quiet choices, and how a single act can change the world. A mystery. A gift. A legacy. Stay with us until the very end. The crisp winter wind swirled around the campus of Arlington University, where the pale sunlight filtered through the bare branches. The campus, rich in history, was lined with red brick buildings, rolling green lawns, and stone benches where students often gathered to chat. Today, however, it buzzed with an unusual energy. An important guest was about to arrive. Barron Trump stepped out of a sleek black SUV, escorted by several sharply dressed security personnel. Towering in height and exuding a quiet composure, he presented a stark contrast to the public's familiar perception of him. Barron rarely appeared in the media spotlight, but today he had accepted an invitation to speak at a panel discussion on education and opportunities for students. Principal Henry Calloway personally welcomed him. A dignified man with graying hair, keen eyes, and a warm smile, Calloway exuded authority and kindness in equal measure. "Welcome, Barron. We're honored to have you here today. You're young, but I believe our students will be eager to hear your thoughts." Barron shook Calloway's hand, his expression calm yet contemplative. "Thank you, Mr. Calloway. I'm looking forward to understanding more about the challenges students face. Education is the key to the future, and I hope to hear their honest perspectives." Inside the grand auditorium, students murmured in hushed anticipation as Barron took the stage. Among them, Olivia Carter, a third-year student with bright eyes and a determined smile, stood up. She had been invited to share her personal story. "I grew up in a working-class family. My mother is a nurse, and my father passed away when I was young. To afford my education, I've been working since I was 16. Late nights after classes, long weekends spent juggling jobs. I've always believed that education is the only path to changing my life." The auditorium fell silent as hundreds of students listened, some struggling to keep their emotions in check. Barron watched Olivia, his expression subtly shifting into deep thought. Her story left a lasting impression on him. After the panel discussion, Barron stepped out of the auditorium, his mind still lost in thought. Olivia's story made him reflect more deeply on the injustices in education, something he had never truly experienced before. He walked slowly along the stone-paved path in the campus, the bare tree branches swaying under the pale winter sun. As he approached an old brick wall, the tense voices of a group of students reached his ears. "We need $5,000 urgently to keep the scholarship fund for low-income students. If we don't get it, many will have to drop out." A girl stood with her arms crossed, her voice laced with frustration. "We've tried fundraising, but it's still not enough. Who cares anyway? People with money will never understand what we're going through." Barron stopped in his tracks. He looked toward the group of students, his eyes filled with curiosity. Without much thought, he stepped closer and spoke in a calm voice. "Excuse me, I overheard your conversation. Is there another way to help?" Immediately, wary eyes turned toward him. The girl who had spoken earlier raised an eyebrow, gripping her elbow tightly. Meanwhile, a brown-haired guy, Jake, crossed his arms over his chest, his voice dripping with skepticism. "You want to help? That's interesting," Jake said, a hint of sarcasm in his tone. "I thought you only showed up at glamorous events or in golden skyscrapers. Why would someone like you care about this?" Barron hesitated slightly at the sharp words. He wasn't surprised, he had grown used to judgmental stares. But there was something in Jake's voice that made him realize this wasn't just ordinary skepticism. It was anger, frustration, perhaps even hurt. "And what do you think?" Barron asked slowly, keeping his gaze fixed on Jake. Do you think I'm here just to show off, to be praised as some hero? The girl beside Jake, Lisa, let out a quiet laugh, but there was no amusement in her eyes. What else could it be? She said. You have everything that people like us will never have. A life without worries, without scrambling for tuition fees. Why would you care about a scholarship fund for people you could never understand? Barron sensed the bitterness in their words. He understood because he had never been in their position, but that didn't mean he couldn't care. He took a deep breath, then spoke slowly. I don't know what it feels like to struggle for every penny of tuition. I don't know the pressure of choosing between a job and a dream. But I do know one thing: if being born into a privileged family means I'm not allowed to care, not allowed to want to do the right thing, then isn't that an injustice too? Jake raised an eyebrow slightly. Lisa remained silent, but her gaze softened just a little. Barron continued, his voice steady yet sincere. You've gotten so used to being ignored by wealthy people that you assume we're all the same. But if I'm standing here today, asking how to help, it's not because I want recognition. I just think if something can be done, why not try? A brief silence fell over the group. No one spoke, but Jake and Lisa exchanged a look, as if deciding whether to continue arguing. Finally, Jake let out a sigh. If you really care, then you should know the story behind this scholarship fund. Lisa nodded, her tone less harsh than before. The fund was established by an anonymous former student 20 years ago. That person donated a large sum of money to help struggling students. No one knows their true identity, only a nickname was ever mentioned, the Invisible Friend. Barron tilted his head slightly, his eyes glinting with interest. The Invisible Friend? He repeated. Sounds like a mystery. Jake scoffed. Maybe, but now the fund is nearly depleted. If no one steps up, it'll disappear. Barron looked at his two new acquaintances, sensing the lingering hesitation in their eyes. But at the very least, he had opened a door. I want to see the letter they left behind, he said. If there are any clues about the person who started this fund, maybe we can find a way to save it. Jake stared at Barron for a moment, then gave a small nod. All right, follow me, I'll show you. Their footsteps echoed in the quiet space of the old library, where the scent of oak and aged paper blended into the air, evoking a strange sense of nostalgia. Barron followed Jake and Lisa past towering bookshelves, the soft light filtering through stained glass windows, casting shimmering streaks on the marble floor. Finally, they stopped in front of a dark wooden cabinet, its surface bearing faint scratches, signs of time having left its mark. Jake crouched down, pulled open a small drawer, and carefully retrieved an old wooden box. On the lid, a finely etched inscription read, "Help others the way you were once helped." Lisa gently placed her hand on the box, as if it were a treasure far more valuable than money. This box has been here for a long time. No one really knows where it came from, only that it has always been connected to the scholarship fund. Barron slowly lifted the lid. There wasn't much inside, just an old letter, its paper yellowed with age. He carefully picked it up, feeling the rough texture beneath his fingertips. The slanted handwriting on the page made him squint as he read. 20 years ago, I was a poor student with nothing but a dream and determination. I was on the verge of giving up everything when a miracle happened. A stranger granted me a scholarship I had never dared to hope for. That person left no name, asked for no gratitude, only said to pass the kindness forward. I swore that one day I would do the same for others. If you are reading this letter, please continue to pass on this kindness. Help someone, just as I was once helped. Lisa raised an eyebrow. But we have no other clues. No name, no address, just an old letter. Barron slowly placed the letter back into the box, his eyes filled with deep thought. Maybe we need to start searching from a different angle. This person may not have wanted to be known, but someone out there must know about them. A former professor? A fellow student? Or maybe an organization they were once connected to? Jake clicked his tongue. So you really want to find the truth? Not just throw money at this to save the fund? Barron smirked slightly, but his eyes held an unwavering determination. Money can solve the immediate problem, but it won't preserve the true value of this scholarship fund. I want to know who created it and why. If they spent their life helping others, then at the very least, their story deserves to be told. Jake and Lisa fell silent, and the three of them left, each carrying a weight of unspoken thoughts. A few days later, Barron returned to Arlington University, this time with unwavering determination. After many discussions with Jake and Lisa, Barron realized that money could help sustain the scholarship fund, but for it to truly have meaning, there had to be a story behind it, a story that could inspire others and continue the tradition of the Invisible Friend's generosity. He stepped into the office of Principal Henry Calloway, where the sunlight from the window cast a warm glow on the antique mahogany desk. Principal Calloway looked up, surprised to see Barron arrive unannounced. "Mr. Trump, how can I help you?" Barron pulled out a chair and sat down across from him, his expression calm yet filled with resolve. "Mr. Calloway, I want to ensure the continuation of this scholarship fund." The principal furrowed his brow slightly. "What do you mean?" "I will fund the necessary amount to keep the scholarship running for at least another 20 years, Barron stated clearly, without hesitation. The room fell silent. Principal Calloway stared at him, as if trying to gauge whether this was a serious commitment. "Are you sure?" he asked slowly, his voice measured. "This is a substantial amount of money." Barron nodded. "I understand that, but this isn't about me. It's about the students who deserve this opportunity, and I want to do this without my name being revealed." Principal Calloway straightened, crossing his arms over his chest. "You don't want anyone to know? A gesture like this would bring you significant recognition." Barron smiled, but there was a depth in his gaze, as if he had given this much thought. "The person who created this fund didn't need recognition, so why should I be any different?" he said. "I want to preserve the spirit of this scholarship. This isn't about a name, it's about the opportunities it provides." Principal Calloway studied him for a long moment before nodding slowly, a thoughtful smile spreading across his face. "I see. You're a young man with a different perspective, Barron Trump." The next day, an official statement was released by Arlington University. "We are pleased to announce that the Invisible Friend Scholarship Fund will continue to support students, thanks to a generous anonymous donor. Due to this contribution, hundreds of students will continue to receive financial assistance in the years to come." The campus buzzed with speculation. Everyone wanted to know who the mysterious benefactor was. Some theorized it was a billionaire, a successful entrepreneur, or even a former scholarship recipient. In a quiet corner of the dormitory, Olivia Carter sat on her single bed, holding an official letter from the university in her hands. Her eyes scanned the words, and as she reached the last line, her hands trembled slightly. "We are pleased to inform you that you have been awarded a full scholarship from the Invisible Friend Scholarship Fund." Her breath quickened. She reread the letter over and over, making sure she wasn't imagining it. Then finally, as if emotions had overwhelmed her, she broke into tears. Lisa and a few roommates rushed over. "Olivia, what's wrong?" Olivia looked at them, her eyes still wet but shining with an unprecedented joy. I got the scholarship. The fund wasn't cancelled. I can continue my studies." Lisa's eyes widened before she quickly pulled Olivia into a hug. "Really? This is unbelievable." Jake, who had just entered the room, smirked slightly. "Looks like the mysterious benefactor has made their move." Olivia clutched the letter tightly. "I don't know who did this, but I do know one thing: one day I will pass this kindness forward." She gazed out the window where the winter sunlight cast golden hues over the campus. A sense of gratitude and hope filled her heart. Elsewhere on campus, Barron Trump walked quietly, expecting neither recognition nor thanks. He only smiled slightly, knowing he had done the right thing. A year passed. The gentle spring breeze drifted through Arlington University, carrying the scent of cherry blossoms that lined the walkways. The campus remained bustling with students, young people carrying big dreams, unaware that an anonymous decision had shaped their futures. On a late afternoon, Barron sat in his office, his eyes scanning the lines of a letter he had just received. To the anonymous benefactor. I don't know who helped me, but I want to say that it has completely changed my life. Thanks to this scholarship, I was able to continue my studies without financial worries. I have completed my program with the best results I could achieve, but more importantly, I have learned a lesson far greater than anything taught in textbooks. If one day I have the opportunity to give back, I will do so without revealing my name, just as someone once did for me. Barron smiled softly as he folded the letter. He didn't need Olivia to know that he was the one who had helped her. What mattered more was that she understood the true value of kindness, a kindness that didn't seek recognition, didn't require praise, but simply needed to be passed on. Because helping others should not be a forgotten gift, but a light that continues to be lit, passed from one person to another, illuminating paths we have yet to see. Because sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change an entire life, and when one life changes, it has the power to change hundreds, even thousands more. And so, the mysterious box remained waiting for the next person to open it. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe so you never miss another one. Help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to bring you even more amazing stories. And don't forget, tomorrow we have an even more exciting story waiting just for you.